What if inconsistency is not your real problem? What if inconsistency is just the smoke and then you have been blaming yourself instead of looking for the fire? Because a lot of women keep saying, I just need to be more consistent. I need better habits. I need to be more disciplined. I need a way to be more accountable. I need to stop procrastinating. I need to get it together already. And yes, sometimes structure is something that helps a lot. Sometimes, of course, discipline matters. And sometimes we do not follow through. But sometimes inconsistency is not the disease. Sometimes inconsistency, it is the symptom. Sometimes it is your body, your heart, or your nervous system telling the truth before your mouth is ready to tell the truth. And that is what I want to name today. Because I think a lot of smart women are trying to solve inconsistency with tighter routine when the real issue is emotional. The real issue might be fear. The real issue might be shame. The real issue might be burnout. And sometimes the real issue can also be resentment, or the fact that you've been showing up from survival for so long that your body is tired of performing on demand, on command. That if you are a Black woman, this hits differently because we are often taught to make it happen no matter what. We got to push through. We got to be strong. We got to display Black excellence in everything that we do. You cannot drop the ball. Do not drop the ball. Do not let them see you slipping. So when inconsistency it shows up, we do not usually respond with curiosity. We respond with shame. We act like missing a beat, it means that something is wrong with us. Something is wrong with our character. But what if it means that something deeper is asking for attention? Maybe you know this pattern. Maybe you start strong. You make the plan. You get very excited. You tell yourself, this time it is going to be different. And you post consistently for a week, maybe two. Maybe you are waking up early, you're checking things off your list, and you're feeling very proud. You're drinking your little water and you're minding your business, and then something happens. You disappear. You stall. You start overthinking everything that you're doing. And then you miss one day. And then one day becomes 3 days. Then suddenly it feels easier to avoid the whole thing than to come back to it. And because it keeps happening, you decide that the problem is you. You say, I am just inconsistent. I'm struggling with being consistent. And I never stick with things. I always fall off. I am the problem. Why does everybody get it and I don't get it? So you put that label, and it is too shallow for what is often really going on, because inconsistency is usually not something random. It usually follows a pattern. It shows up when something gets emotionally real, and it shows up when visibility increases. It shows up when the pressure is rising, and it shows up when the work is start touching something tender and meaningful in you. Maybe you are not inconsistent. Maybe you are activated. Maybe every time you get close to being seen, your body wants to hit the brakes and protect you. Maybe every time the thing starts mattering, fear gets louder. Maybe every time your voice gets clearer, shame tells you to go sit somewhere. That is not the same thing as laziness, and that is not the same thing as being unserious. That is not the same thing as lacking potential. It is actually a signal. It is information. It is data. It is something trying to tell you where the real problem lives. And I think some women stay stuck because they keep trying to fix the symptom with punishment. So they create a stricter routine. They download another tracker. They hire another coach. They buy another planner. They shame themselves into another Monday restart, like Monday is a church altar and they are bringing their failed habits. But punishment does not heal patterns. It just makes the cycle meaner. Because not only are you struggling, now you are struggling with a running commentary in your head calling you lazy, flaky, inconsistent, and behind. That is very heavy. And heavy people do not move better because you shame them harder. And sometimes they move less. Sometimes they hide more. Sometimes they stop trying at all because trying has become emotionally too expensive, too heavy. So let us talk about what inconsistency might be actually covering. For some women, inconsistency is covering the fear of being seen. It is easy to be serious in private. It is different when your work has to meet real eyes, real opinion, real silence, real feedback. And for some women, inconsistency is covering perfectionism. Hello. You call yourself inconsistent, but really you only know how to show up when you feel polished. So the minute the work feels messy, human, unfinished, or average, you just back away. For some women, inconsistency is covering resentment. So you keep trying to force yourself to show up for things that do not actually feel connected to your truth anymore. So of course you keep falling off. Your spirit is not confused. It is unconvinced. And for some women, inconsistency is covering burnout. You are calling yourself lazy when really your body has been carrying too much for too long. So everything in you is tired. And instead of admitting that, you keep trying to perform your way past the exhaustion. For some women, inconsistency is covering self-betrayal. You keep saying yes to everybody else, leaving your own work for the scraps of your energy, then blaming yourself because you're not able to show up fully. That is not just inconsistency. That is a life structure problem. And something must shift. So the shift is not just asking, how do I become more consistent? The shift is asking, what happens in me right before I disappear? That is a better question. And that question, it gets you closer to the truth. Do I disappear when the work gets vulnerable? Do I disappear when I start comparing myself? Do I disappear when I feel pressure to be perfect? Do I disappear when I'm angry, hurt, unseen, or emotionally overloaded? Do I disappear because this thing is wrong for me or because this thing is right enough to scare me? That is where the insight lives. Because once you identify the pattern underneath the inconsistency, you stop treating every missed moment like a moral failure. Now it becomes information for you. Now it becomes a mirror. Now it becomes a clue. Now you can respond with intelligence instead of just shame. If the issue is fear of being seen, then the work is not only discipline, the work is building safety around visibility. If the issue is burnout, the work is not just pushing harder. The work is rest, repair in a more honest pace. If the issue is perfectionism, the work is letting your humanity stay in the room. If the issue is resentment, the work is telling the truth about what no longer fits. And if the issue is self-betrayal, the work is restructuring your life so your priorities stop living at the bottom of the list. So you put yourself on top of your priority list. And this is why I keep saying inconsistency is not always the root. Sometimes it is just a visible crack that tells you where the pressure is building underneath. And that matters because symptoms are not solved by pretending they are character flaws. Symptoms are understood, they're listened to, and you have to interpret it for what it is. And you have to respond to it with honesty. So if you have been calling yourself inconsistent, I want you to slow down before you make that your identity. Do not build a whole story around who you are from a symptom that you have not even investigated yet. You are not lost because you fell off. You are not broken because you have cycles. You are not unserious because your energy changes when something gets emotionally costly. And you may just need to stop diagnosing yourself at the surface. You may need to tell the truth about what your inconsistency has been trying to say to you. Maybe it has been saying, I do not feel safe being seen like this. Maybe it's been saying, I'm tired. Maybe it has been saying, this is no longer aligned with who I am. Maybe it's been saying, I keep abandoning myself and then wondering why my energy disappears. And that is a very different conversation than I just need to do better. And honestly, it is a kinder conversation, a truer one, a more useful conversation, because once the real problem is on the table, now you can actually work with it. Now you are not fighting smoke anymore. Now you are actually finding the fire. And now you can stop trying to become a machine and start becoming a woman who understands herself. And self-understanding, it builds a steadier life when more than shame ever will. So maybe the next level is not promising yourself that this time you would be perfectly consistent forever. Maybe the next level is noticing your patterns sooner and asking better questions. And also responding to yourself with more truth and less punishment. Because when you stop treating the symptoms like the whole story, you finally get a chance to heal the things that are underneath. And that is where will change happens. And not at the level of performance, but at the level of truth. And that is the kind of change that actually lasts. If you don't know me, my name is Webley. I am 50 years old, and I am finally no longer saying to myself that I am inconsistent so I can go harder. I am resting, I am healing, and I am a perfectionist who is a work in progress. I will see you tomorrow.